Hello and welcome to another episode of 15 Fury Focus on Wayne 15 Plus. I am meteorologist Lance Huffman. Happy to have you here for today. We're finally out of this heat wave, and here to tell me all about this heat wave and a whole lot more for this episode is, of course, none other than Wayne 15 meteorologist Becca Schumann. Becca, how are we doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Lance. It definitely feels pretty nice out there. It's nice to be out of those 90s for now. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, and I will say the humidity, it's still there at times as we've gone throughout this week. This is being recorded on July 8th of 2026. It's still a little sticky, but this is the classic summertime humidity compared to the oppressive dew points in the 70s, upper 70s in even some instances. As of now, we're pretty much in the 60s solely, so it's still a little humid, but it's much, much better than what we saw to wrap up June and begin July.
Yeah, I definitely was feeling very oppressive out there, feeling like a sauna entering outside. But yeah, it's still feeling a little bit humid, but not too bad. Those 60-degree dew points aren't horrible considering what we saw last week.
Right, and that's going to be one of the things we talk about in this episode, pretty much breaking down what a heat index is, pretty much dew points, and why they factor into a heat index. But Becca, a little bit of a brain teaser for you. How many days in a row did we have 15 Fury Alert days last week?
We had 5 days, right?
Yes. Yes, we did.
Yeah, I was only here for, I think, 3 of them, but
right.
Yes.
And 3 of them were issued well in advance. We had those for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Monday and Friday were actually added because of extreme heat warnings that were issued by the National Weather Service. But we saw 5 straight days of heat indices into at least 100 degrees or higher in some spots. I think some areas got up to around 110 degrees.
Yes.
There are some heat indices that were much higher, but some of the weather stations that recorded those are not the same weather stations that are used at the regional airports that are called ASOS, which I gotta remember, automatic observing station. I don't remember what the first S is there, but I know AWOS, that we also use as the automatic weather observation station, if I'm correct. I don't remember what the S is in the ASOS.
Yeah, it's escaping me right now, but it's what we use for our weather observations.
The big meteorology terms for us right now.
There's a lot to remember.
Right. We take half an hour for a lot of these shows to pretty much break down some of the weather nerd stuff.
Oh, yes.
The weather geek stuff. We love doing these things because we can geek out about this.
Yeah.
And the thing that we're going to geek out to start off this episode is the extreme heat that we've been seeing over these past few days, and not so much, at least, as we're getting into the second week of July. So our topic of the day is the extreme heat, recording as of Wednesday, July 8th. And over the past 7 days, we've gone at least out of that stretch of those very hot days. Mid-90s, Wednesday through Friday. We even saw around almost 90 degrees on Saturday. I bet some spots maybe hit the 90-degree mark, but we did see a few storms move into the picture at that point. We got to as low as 78 degrees for the high temperature on Monday. That is pretty crazy to think about compared to what we saw Friday and then into Monday, Becca.
Yeah, almost a 20-degree jump there from the end of the week last week into the beginning of this week. But yeah, those upper 70s definitely felt a lot nicer compared to those 90s. But yeah, it definitely was a big jump after we did see that week-long heat wave that we saw last week. So it's good to be back in the more average seasonable-like weather that we're in right now.
Right, so we pretty much we did the staircase. We dropped on the staircase after we rose on the staircase.
The roller coaster, if you will.
Yeah, summer roller coasters. I mean, we don't see them too often around here. I'd say. I mean, yes, we usually see the big heat waves, but to see the fairly nice cool down after that, it's not always the case because sometimes weather systems are a bit weaker this time of year, and that's why we can sometimes see the resurgence of these 90s, and then when we see a quote cool down, it could either be lower 90s or highs still in the mid to upper 80s. So that's a pretty typical summer-like pattern, but a weather system was able to usher in just enough cold air on Monday, and I think a few rain showers as well to kind of keep that atmosphere with some cooler air with it as well, too. But let's talk about July 4th, Becca, because our last 15 Fury episode might have gone over just a little bit of maybe some July 4th weather history. We'll talk about some general weather history in just a little bit later on in the show. But let's talk about some weather facts. The past 5 years, it has certainly been an interesting past 5 years in terms of the July 4th history, because it's either been 80s or 90s.
Yeah, it's definitely been a warm past couple of years. We've seen those upper 80s, temperatures right at 90 a few years, and very few years with rain. We've only seen 2 out of the last 5. I guess we saw one with a trace, but pretty dry and warm July 4th that we've had recently.
Right. It's like we technically could count a trace, but
Yeah.
as a reminder for folks, when a trace of rain comes up on a weather station, it means that it was not enough to be measured, so it is therefore not considered a measurable amount of rain. So it is technically considered a quote dry day, although it did have enough rain to come up as a trace at the Fort Wayne Airport. So maybe some other areas did see some measurable amounts of some rainfall then. I almost said precipitation, but rain would be the only form of precipitation at this point, unless if we're counting melted hail, but I'm not worried about that with this.
Yes.
But 89 degrees was our high temperature this year for the 4th of July. But yeah, as Becca mentioned, technically, if we would want to count it as rain, every other year we've at least seen some form of rain, whether or not it was measurable or not. So that's a pretty interesting thing to think of. So 2027, let's totally book it. Will not see rain.
Yes, that's our expert way in advance prediction. Right here.
Boy, I can't wait to look back and see what that
Yes.
does. And which, looking back, with a little bit of my attention loss, I am very good at getting distracted. I looked back, Becca, and we have hit our 1-year anniversary of 15 Fury Focus.
Woo!
So I'm going to have a little bit of applause play. I hope it's not too loud. Oh, that's the air horn. I played the air horn. Let's play
We need
the
all the
applause.
sounds.
Let's do all the sounds. Let's do the air horn. Let's get a little bit of some applause here.
Celebration.
Yes. So for those who might have seen the episodes first as they aired, the first ones were with myself and Nathan Gidley when he was here. And this, I believe the first one aired on July 2nd, 2025.
Just passed our 1-year anniversary.
Yes, that was our debut episode. So technically our anniversary episode. So, of course, talk about July 4th. I'd love for that to be our anniversary episode because it's the 250th year, at least the 250th since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, at least the Declaration Proclamation. Just some great vibes. Although the U.S. did lose in the World Cup, I don't care about soccer.
We're still keeping the celebration going.
Right. Football is better.
Yeah.
Our version of football is so much better. Fight me. Don't actually fight me. I'm just completely joking, but yeah. So, I mean, in terms of July 4th, what did you do on July 4th, Becca?
So we did the parade. That's what I guess first, if we're going to start at the very beginning, I obviously worked. I worked the morning shift, and then I went off to the parade, and then I met my family at the zoo. We had like a free pass with my mom's work, so we went to the Fort Wayne Zoo, got to see all the animals. That was super fun. And then we went to Brava's for dinner and got really tasty burgers, and then went to bed. I did not see the fireworks. I was way too exhausted, and they didn't wake me up either, so that was nice.
Oh, boy, yeah.
How
I
did
mean, there are a lot of people who were not too pleased about the fireworks being delayed, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yes.
People are saying it's a minor league game, but it is still related to Padres. If this were a Major League Baseball game, they too would have played it out for those full, what was it, 14
it's definitely
innings.
interrupting. Like, you can't have both at the same time.
Right.
So, although it's frustrating, what it has to be, what it has to be. But how'd you spend your 4th of July, Lance?
It was pretty good. For those seeing them right now, they're actually seeing a slideshow of some of the pictures
Nice.
you've submitted. So I like seeing the bald eagle on there. That was
Yes.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to see that one for the first time.
But yeah, where I went with some family and hung out with some family. We went to a pool. It was not Pat's pool, but it was a nice pool. It was very relaxing. It was a great day. We saw some fireworks literally right after the fireworks ended. We had rain move in. So thankfully,
Yes.
fireworks ended at a perfect time. But for those who have been keeping up with Wayne 15, we were actually in the parade.
Yes.
We walked, I want to say at least about 2 miles,
Yeah,
I
it was
think.
about
I think
2
it was
miles,
2
yeah.
miles. Through really up along Calhoun Street. I think it was somewhat near Pontiac Street when I think we started. We would travel north, and then we went through downtown Fort Wayne. So it was a bit of a walk, but it was great seeing all those people out there because I could tell just by looking how badly Fort Wayne really needed another parade, because the last one, true parade, I would say was the Three Rivers Parade, and we haven't had one. The Three Rivers Parade has not been a thing since I want to say 24. because I don't think we had one last year. But I can just tell how much the city loves the 4th of July. The city of Fort Wayne, there's so many people out there to celebrate, getting to see a lot of our fans. That was a great thing as well. Just to really be able to walk through it and just have a fun time. I think it was been my favorite thing.
Yeah, it was my first parade with Wayne, and it was definitely fun. A couple people recognized me, so that was cool just to, see people in the community. And yeah, people really seemed to enjoy it. And yeah, we haven't had a parade in a while, so it was great just to get people out and just, celebrating what we can all celebrate, our 250th anniversary of the country. So it was really a fun time. And yeah, it was good weather too. It got a little hot when the sun was beating down on us, but overall it was a great time.
Right. There are a couple clouds at times, which did at least make it feel better.
Yes, definitely.
My first parade with Wayne was technically before I was on alone, like in terms of broadcast, because I started in June, and so the Three Rivers Parade was after when I first started working at Wayne, but I wasn't on TV yet, so I feel like there were a couple people who were like, "Who is that guy that's walking in the parade?" Who also is like has Wayne stuff on? It's like, who is that guy? But my family was in that parade. I got to hug my niece in that parade, which is pretty cool. Yeah, parades are so much fun in Fort Wayne. I'm looking forward to see if they're going to do this parade, this July 4th parade next year. I would say, why not?
I'm like, we might as well do it.
Right.
It seemed like it was definitely a success out there.
Right. And we'll go from 4th of July stuff that we saw this year to some 4th of July stuff that we saw perhaps last year or maybe even the years before that. So I have a little bit of some weather history if I remembered to print it off. Yes, I did. And there's a lot of things that have happened on July 4th. Specifically, I don't know if a lot of people have heard of July 4th, 1776. If not, let me know. But
kind of important.
Right. And there's actually some weather aspects to when the Declaration of Independence was signed. Some weather material that actually occurred there. Let's see. At 1776 at 2 p.m., when the Declaration of Independence was being signed by Thomas Jefferson, the temperature was 76 degrees according to the thermometer he had bought that morning. Skies were cloudy. I'm always curious to think about how accurate they might have been at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 76 degrees at 2 p.m. and where they signed that would not be too shabby.
Yeah, it sounds pretty accurate. Yeah, Ethan actually read this on our newscast on Saturday.
Oh, did he
actually? Yes, yeah.
That's amazing. And then past 1776, some actual weather-related material as well. The Wabash River at Terre Haute crested to 7 feet above flood stage. So, of course, we see that flood there. That could also kind of go downstream and cause some effects in other areas, too. 1.23 inches of rain fell on Unionville, Maryland, not in 1 hour, not in 2 hours, not in 30 minutes, but in 1 minute.
What?
That was a rainfall rate of 1.23 inches in 1 minute. So you have to think just how torrential that rainfall has to be and just how much latent heat is coming off of that environment to bring it down. That intense amount of rain in 1956. So I can only imagine how intense that flash flooding was.
Impacts. It's very, very intense.
Right. And we'll talk about flash flooding actually later on because we've had some flooding issues recently arise in the past few days. And 1957, a tornado damaged the Williams County Courthouse. In 1969, a tornado moved southeast across northeast Hillsdale County, which is in Michigan, from Jonesville to northwest of Hudson. So that's the county northeast of Steuben County in Michigan. Flash flooding in Peru, Indiana, so to the west of Wabash, reached car rooftops. So we're thinking probably feet of some rain in some spots. Homes were evacuated. Flooding closed parts of Indiana 25 in Fulton County, so just off to our west. Floodwaters 2 feet deep stalled cars in Blackford County. So that's in our area. 81-mile-an-hour winds blew through Wilshire, Ohio. So some gusty winds and some very considerable flooding in 98. It's a very active severe weather season. That's, I believe, the most active severe weather season that we've seen in the past at least 20 years. this year is, I believe, in fourth place already. So we're going to have to see how we do it when things are all said and done. Do you want to read off the 2001 there, Becca?
I don't think I have the July 4th stats. I think mine starts at July 8th.
I think if you go down to the next sheet, because I think I pasted them very
Oh, okay. I see them now. They were just...
I apologize.
Okay. You said which year? 2000?
Let's do 2001.
Okay. Hail 1 inch in diameter fell 1 mile south of Knox, 5 miles east of Knox, and 2 miles southeast of Kewanna. Trees were blown onto power lines 2 miles north of Logansport.
Oh boy. This is a pretty long one. So that is some pretty hail. Not some pretty hail. It's some pretty large hail.
Yes.
That's for sure. Hail up to 1 inch in diameter. That can chip some windshields.
Mm-hmm.
And new-ish car owner myself, not a huge fan of that.
Not be a good thing.
Yeah. In 2003, an F1 tornado
Year I was born.
traveled. Ooh, well, congratulations. I've almost said happy birthday. That would make sense. An F1 tornado traveled from 2 miles southeast of Plumtree, so in Huntington County. We've actually talked about Plumtree, I want to say, a few weeks ago when a tornado was confirmed in that area from, I want to say, the June 11th line of storms that moved through to 3 miles south of Liberty Center. I know where that is because that's actually along 300 West in Wells County, in west central Wells County. That's to the southwest of Bluffton. It traveled, damaging 2 homes, trees, and a power pole. 81-mile-an-hour winds blew large trees down at 1 mile north of Converse, which is in Miami County. Hail up to 1.75 inches in diameter. So is that probably ping pong ball sized hail, golf ball sized hail?
Yeah, I'd say close to golf ball sized.
Yeah, it fell 1 mile north of Decatur. A tree fell on a mobile home 5 miles north of Rochester, crushing and killing a 27-year-old man. A home 1 mile north of Chile in Miami County lost its roof, and then a roof was removed and a grain silo was blown down 2 miles northwest of Pinedo, which is fairly close to Liberty Center as well, for a little bit of reference, which is in Wells County. Flash flooding occurred in the counties of Adams, Wells, Miami, Wabash, Jay counties. So just a lot of severe weather occurred in 2003. I was probably, I think, 1.5 years old at that point because I was born in early 2002. So I probably early, or 1.5 years old. So I was not alive to remember this. But if I was alive to remember this, I was not old enough to remember this. If I were old enough to remember this, I probably would still have like it pretty deep into my mind. That's for sure. But that's some July 4th weather history. We'll get back to some of the traditional weather history in just a little bit. But let's talk about this July 4th heat that we've been so familiar with recently, with some 90s and even upper 80s. Coolest one in the past 5 years was 2024 with a high temperature of 80 degrees. In terms of averages, we usually average around, I would say, the 84 degree mark. Our hottest temperature recorded on July 4th is 101 degrees. That's not the heat index. That's the actual air temperature that was recorded in 2012. That was certainly a hot year.
A scorcher. Definitely want to be in a pool for that one.
Yeah. 64 degrees is the average low. And our record coolest low is 48 degrees. Now, I would not mind that at this time of year.
Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. Just throw on a jacket. It'll be fun.
Right. That was in the 60s. We usually average around 0.13 inches of rain, so technically this year was above average in terms of rainfall, but that one's a little bit more negligible because you can have a whole lot of days that see no rain, and then you can have ones like near the record, 6 inches of rain in 1929. But overall, compared to last year, not looking at much at all in terms of drought concerns around here as of this point, which is some good news still. We're running, I want to say, 4 more inches compared to last year, too. So let's take a look at how we're doing with rainfall precipitation so far. So this is through July 7th of this year so far. So as of July 7th, we have 19.55 inches. And the average today is 21.15. So 1.6 inches below average may sound significant, but it's not too bad at all. That's why I still want to have it in the green because it's below average at this point. But again, compared to the 2025 total at this point, It was at 15.81 inches.
Okay.
So that's pretty much 3 inches more than what we saw last year already. And the 2025 total is 24.31 inches. So currently, we are 4.76 inches away from reaching that anyways. So as of this point, we're on pace to not have the driest year on record, which was 2025. So that's some good news that we can pass along.
Yeah, certainly good that we're seeing numbers, a little bit below average at this time, but nothing too crazy compared to last year.
Right. And we talk about all this rain. The rain can certainly make it feel more humid at times outdoors. When we talk about heat and humidity, Becca, heat index is the thing that we bring up the most. It's the feels like temperature that's outside. How do we determine a heat index?
Yeah, so when we're talking about heat index, the biggest thing that we're thinking about, obviously, we're seeing high temperatures. We saw high temperatures in the 90s last week. We also are looking at those dew points, and the dew point really talks about how saturated the air is. And so when we look at the dew point, we also are looking at the levels of humidity. This really factors in with those high temperatures to tell us what those heat indexes will be, and that's really the feels like temperature. So it's what it feels like on our bodies, and it also, the higher humidity limits our ability to cool off and sweat like we normally would with hot weather. So those high heat indexes really show us what it's going to feel like when you're stepping out the door, and also how it's limiting our ability to cool off. So especially when we see multiple days with these high heat indexes, it causes, it doesn't allow our bodies to cool off, the overnights, especially if people don't have air conditioning or if you're not staying hydrated, it can seriously pose some issues. But yeah, heat indexes are the really big thing that we look at, especially when issuing 15 Fury Alert days.
Right. And when we had those 15 Fury Alert days, we saw highs in the 90s, dew points in the 70s, which is pretty significant. For example, an air temperature of 92 degrees with a dew point of 74 makes it feel like it's 102 degrees. That's pretty significant. So that's why we want it to really get out to people the importance of staying hydrated and cool as we go through heat waves, because it can accumulate onto people some of those heat-related illnesses pretty quickly as well. All right, let's take a look at one interesting thing that I want to bring up, and that might actually be some flooding that we've seen in the past couple days. New Haven saw some pretty interesting rainfall totals because we saw a thunderstorm pop up right over Fort Wayne. So the Fort Wayne Fizzle people have been real quiet since this has happened.
Shut them down.
So there was a storm that pretty much pretty much congealed itself over Fort Wayne. It dropped a whole lot of rain very quickly. I think we had around 0.68 inches or more on that day,
Yeah.
Becca, when you did your Coco Ross observation.
Yes. Yeah, in the morning it was like 0.63.
Okay.
So,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
yeah, I was happy to go out there and see how much rain we got.
Yeah, and these are some of the rainfall reports. You can see it's pretty interesting how much they're varying, but these are because keyword scattered. These storms were scattered on the evening of Sunday, July 5th. But look at these couple areas. Orland had 4.87 inches of rain within that 24-hour period. Defiance, 4 inches of rain. I feel like I'm getting like a Midwest Southern accent when I'm saying this. Defiance, 4 inches of rain. New Haven, 3.31 inches of rain in that 24-hour period. And Syracuse, 1.68 inches of rain. And then Wayne, 0.63 inches of rain. So you can see how it varied at a similar rate. But the areas that saw those heaviest thunderstorms, it accumulated quickly.
Yeah, and I know at Fort Wayne Airport, they only got 0.2 inches. So yeah, definitely with those scattered storms, you're going to see varied amounts, locally heavy rainfall. We really saw that here with, amounts over 4 inches. That's really significant. And it created some flash flooding concerns on roads and low-lying areas.
Right, and there were a couple of flood advisories that were issued, I want to say, for actually most of Fort Wayne and New Haven. Portions of Paulding County, I believe, were included in a flood advisory too. Paulding County actually saw some pretty significant rainfall as well. I believe it was actually Paulding might have been that 4-inch rainfall. We'll take a look at that. That's for sure. But I'm pretty certain it was Paulding County that saw some pretty significant rainfall amounts with this too. But again, we'll take a look at that and we'll let you guys know in this upcoming episode on more of these rainfall amounts as we kind of see them pour in, so to speak. But this is the most common year for flash flooding. We see these heaviest thunderstorms with all the heat and humidity. It actually gives them these storms more water to work with to then drop down. We call that precipitable water, and it can give us some more flooding material, Becca, right?
Yes, yeah. When we see all this moisture, definitely creates more water in the atmosphere, allowing these storms to produce some significant amounts of rain, especially during this month, during the peak of summer heat.
All right, so we are at 25 minutes right now.
Okay.
And aside from all those rainfall amounts that we've seen, Becca, do we want to do some weather history, or did you have anything else that we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and head into the weather history. I think we covered the flooding and the heat is what we needed to talk about today.
All right, and again, whether it's between Defiance or Paulding counties, we know that
Yes,
portions of the area
that
have at least seen some pretty,
general
pretty
area.
high amounts, of some rainfall with that. So let's start off with July 8th. I'll start off with July 8th if you want to do July 9th, Becca.
Okay.
And then, of course, we'll have to remember when I accidentally pasted on the wrong side of this Word document of July 4th. So we'll have to skip over that. But on July 8th in 1997, 61-mile-an-hour winds were reported at Hamler, Ohio. I like hearing that name. Hamler makes me just think of a steamed ham or just like
or a hamburger, babe.
Hamburger, yes. 4 inches of rain in Defiance County caused widespread flooding. 60-mile-an-hour winds at Leipzig and Bluffton, Ohio. I apologize if I butchered that name. I believe most of those are actually out of our DMA. In 2001, 67, of course, there's the number, winds 3 miles south of Wolcott in White County. Thunderstorms winds moved off a garage off its foundation in Cass County. So nothing too much around here until we get towards 2003, where 67... Same number for folks. It's the meme number, folks. 67-mile-an-hour thunderstorm wind struck the National Weather Service office of northern Indiana near North Webster. Trees and power lines are blown down through the region. A barn was blown down in Paulding County near Cecil. A flash flooding was a problem in Cass County, Jay County, and Miami counties. So again, it's pretty common time of the year for flash flooding. So that's why it's important to be aware. Many county roads were washed out and impassable in Jay County, and especially what I will consider an area that actually sees a considerable population of Amish people. That can actually be kind of difficult for them to kind of navigate, and especially just for regular drivers as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, moving on to July 9th. In 1926, a tornado moved from just north of Hudson Lake, Indiana, to near Buchanan, Michigan. Bachelor's Island in the St. Joseph River near Buchanan was virtually stripped of trees, and 3 women having lunch were killed in a cabin on the island. In 1951, 5 inches of rain drenched Angola, and 36 inches fell on Warsaw, Indiana. In 1989, 5.6 inches of rain fell on Berrien County. Definitely a lot there. And then in 1999, a thunderstorm blew trees down 5 miles southeast of Decatur. A mobile home was blown over 2 miles northeast of Wilshire in Van Wert County. And nickel-sized hail was reported at Delphos in Allen
One of
County,
those.
Ohio. Yes.
All right, so I will say both July 10th and 11th real quick, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Okay.
This one is pretty significant for July 11th, too. Record low temperature of 40 degrees was recorded in 63 on July 10th in Warsaw. And let's see, and an F-0 tornado skipped from Swayze in Grant County to 2 miles east of that town through some cornfields. Damaged a storage shed and some trees, but F-0, thankfully not too bad there in 2003. In July 11th, Angola fell to 45 degrees. Severe storms in 1989 gave Fort Wayne 75-mile-an-hour winds. And then we have one of the longest lived derechos. This was in 2011, so July 11, 2011. Quite a few people, I'm sure, remember this. Cut a damaged path from Nebraska to Maryland. One of the longest lived derechos, again, in history. Winds up to 85 miles per hour caused damage in northwest Indiana and northeast Illinois. And that also trickled into our area a little bit too. Complex of severe storms raced across the region on July 11th, producing multiple trees down, power outages, in some numerous locations as well. So let us know what you think. But otherwise, it's another episode of 15 Fury Focus on Wave 15 Plus. Have a good one.